Hello and welcome. I'm glad you're here. Let's start.
If my driver hadn't taken the wrong turn that night, I would have unlocked my front door and walked straight into something I was never meant to survive. My name is Evelyn Harper. I'm 58 years old, and this happened to me in San Diego. 6 months before that night, I stood beside my husband Mark's hospital bed at Scripps Memorial, holding his hand as the machines went silent. We had been married for 36 years. He was a high school literature teacher. I worked as a paralegal. When he died, the insurance barely covered the medical bills. The rest of my savings disappeared into funeral costs and the steady, unforgiving expense of simply existing alone. I moved back into our small craftsman house in City Heights. We had bought it decades ago when the neighborhood felt hopeful. Now the paint was fading, the porch light flickered, and the silence inside felt heavier than any noise ever had. At 58, retirement wasn't possible. I took a night job at a private legal archive near downtown. The building stored sealed depositions, civil settlement files, and evidentiary records for active cases. My job was to log documents, verify chain of custody, and flag discrepancies. It required focus and absolute discretion. My shift ended at 11:30 p.m. When the bus routes were cut, I had no safe way home. That's when I started using a rideshare app. That's how I met Gabriel. The first time he pulled up in his silver sedan, I hesitated. It was late. The street outside the archive was empty. He looked to be in his early 50s, calm, observant, with the kind of steady posture that suggested he missed very little. Long shift? He asked that first night. Every night, I replied. Over the next few weeks, he became my regular driver. Same nights, same time, same quiet presence. He never pried into my life, but he noticed things. When I seemed distracted, when I was cold, when I locked my door twice before he drove away. In October, I started bringing tea. Chamomile at first, then ginger when the air turned colder. One evening, I handed him a second cup. "You don't have to," he said. "I know," I told him, "but nights are long." Those 12-minute rides became the only part of my day that felt steady. Around that time, I'd been assigned to help with an internal audit at work. A few settlement files didn't add up, small discrepancies in payout percentages, physical originals missing while digital scans remained. Nothing dramatic, just subtle enough that most people wouldn't notice. The cases involved elderly tenants, injured laborers, immigrants, people unlikely to question the final numbers. At first, I assumed it was clerical error, but the pattern kept growing. One night, as we turned onto my street, Gabriel slowed slightly. "There's a dark SUV across from your house I've seen before," he said. I brushed it off. "It's a city. Cars park everywhere." He didn't argue. A week later, I found my side gate unlatched when I got home. I was certain I had secured it that morning. A legal pad I kept near the phone was gone. It contained grocery lists and reminders, but also a page of file numbers I had jotted down at work. I convinced myself I had misplaced it. When I mentioned it, Gabriel's jaw tightened slightly. "If anything else feels off," he said, "you tell me immediately." The night everything changed, rain had just started falling. I slid into the back seat, handed him his tea, and waited for the usual right turn toward Juniper Street. He didn't turn. "Aren't we passing my street?" I asked gently. He kept driving. "I need you to stay calm," he said, his voice steady but strained. "And I need you to listen." My heart began to pound. He drove to an empty office complex and parked beneath a flickering light. "Do you recognize the name Conrad Vale?" he asked. The name hit me instantly. I had seen it on several archived cases. "Yes," I whispered. "I've driven him 7 times in the past month," Gabriel said. "Always late, always drunk, always talking like no one is listening." A chill ran through me. "Last week he said your full address," Gabriel continued. "He said, 'She's the one reviewing files. She's careful, but she won't see this coming.'" I felt the air leave my lungs. Gabriel showed me his phone. Notes filled the screen, dates, quotes, fragments of conversations. Tuesday, Friday, house empty after midnight. If she has copies, they'll be there. I drove past your house tonight before picking you up, he said. Why? I asked, already knowing. Because yesterday he said tonight would be a good time. Gabriel's voice dropped lower. His car was parked across from your house, engine warm, lights off. I watched him walk to your gate. He tried your front door. The world seemed to tilt sideways. He didn't get in, Gabriel said quickly, but he wasn't surprised it was locked. Tears burned behind my eyes. Why would he think I have anything at home? He works contract security, Gabriel said. He's mentioned having keys, basement access. He knows the building empties after midnight. He believes you might have taken something. The realization struck hard. He's been altering settlement files, I said slowly, redirecting small amounts, covering his tracks. And if you uncover proof, Gabriel said quietly, he thinks he can find it at your house first. If Gabriel had taken that turn, I would have stepped into a dark house believing it was just another ordinary night. Instead, we drove to the police station. I told them everything about the audit, the missing files, the gate, the car. Gabriel handed over his notes and recordings. When they played Conrad's voice threatening to handle the problem, the room shifted. A detective confirmed what we feared. Conrad Vale worked night security at my archive facility. That night, officers found him still parked near my house. He was arrested before I ever walked through my front door. Investigators later uncovered years of quiet fraud, small amounts siphoned from settlements involving people least likely to fight back. If my driver hadn't missed my street that night, I might not be here telling this story. Sometimes survival depends on someone paying attention when you don't realize you're being watched. And sometimes the wrong turn is the only reason you make it home alive.